Alexei Navalny, a key Russian dissident, was murdered in the penal colony, what was announced today and confirmed by the spokesman of the Kremlin. This is something what, unfortunately, we should have expected. He didn't pass away. He was killed, basically, with all the consequences by the Russian authorities. He was perceived from the very beginning as one of the key enemies to Putin's regime, and for many observers this was just a matter of time when he would be killed. At the same time, let's remember that he was treated in a very, very harsh conditions. So a couple of weeks ago he was basically transferred from one penal colony to the colony, in a very harsh climate conditions. When we are talking about the politicians, political dissidents, obviously, especially in the 90s and in the beginning of 2000, we had a couple of murders like Anna Politkovska, the famous journalist, and many others. Boris Nemtsov, who was murdered just behind the Kremlin walls in 2015. So a couple of months after annexation of Crimea and invasion of eastern part of Ukraine. And Boris Nemtsov should be remembered also as one of the key opponents to the Kremlin. But at the same time, the fact that he was murdered and was also very important political momentum in the history of Putin's Russia. But I do not remember any political dissident with such a famous like Alexei Navalny, recognized by at least part of the society. If you take the Russian opposition today, there is no anybody who can be similar to Alexei Navalny in regards to his charisma, to his influence on the society, his popularity, especially popularity among the Russians. Also, if you take the late Soviet Union, all this period from Brezhnev to Perestroika, I do not remember any figure among the Soviet dissidents who was murdered by the Kremlin. They were obviously put to the jail, yes, like Andrei Sakharov and many others, but nobody was killed with premeditation. I think that the reaction from part of the Russian society will be protest, probably this evening, perhaps also in the next couple of days. But I do not expect that there will be tens of thousands, not to mention more people protesting against Putin and against Putin's regime. I think that few thousands of people, perhaps a bit more, will be protesting in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, and perhaps some other big cities. But as the society is, under the full control from the Kremlin, and basically there is a lot of fears among the Russians, especially in last 2 years, because I think that we can speak about two Russians: the Russians before the full-scale Russian invasion on Ukraine, and Russia after. So basically, a lot has changed in Russia since the full-scale invasion. I think it would be not enough to say today about authoritarian Putin's regime. This is not just authoritarian regime. This dictatorship with more and more elements of totalitarian system. So in this sense, I think that Russians, they understand that this is not safe to go to the streets and to protest against the Kremlin. Nevertheless, they will be brave people who will do this. We already see, for example, reaction on social networks, also from the politicians, from recognized journalists, activists, and so on. Very emotional reaction. So I think that not so many people expected that Navalny will be killed. We have many prediction that his life is under question mark. He's not safe in a penal colony. But I think that we should use this momentum, this emotional reactions from especially from the political class, Western political elites, from the decision makers in the West, Western countries, to impose additional sanctions on Russia, which at the same time we should understand that the additional sanctions will not change the Kremlin policy. This is clear. What can change the Kremlin's policy will be defeat on the battlefield. So this is extremely important to deliver to the fighting Ukraine additional weapons. And I very much hope that what happened today with Alexei Navalny will also stimulate people in American Congress to finally accept this new military package worth 61 billion USD, to accept it and to deliver these new weapons, ammunitions, especially artillery ammunitions to Ukrainian armed forces. This is, at this moment, this is probably the most important thing the West can do to punish Kremlin.